We're missing Peter, though. I guess he's going to replace Peter. Yeah, I love it.
Slide down one spot. I like being center. Come on, closer
Oh,
to me.
so we need to
There you go. There
like
you
be
go.
nice to you?
Yes, pretty much. Just for three minutes.
Just for a little while?
Just for
Okay.
3 minutes.
All right, you ready?
As long as I get the go from communications. All right. Okay.
Is that Melinda over there?
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our presentation of some of our key volunteers that have been part of the City of Killeen's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management for a number of months now. The Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management is committed to increasing the community's resilience by improving the capacity of communities across the City of Killeen, ability to prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters by acting as educators through development of a preparedness program. Efforts to build the preparedness program include partnering with the nonprofit organization Equal Heart, which is located in Dallas. Equal Heart has 2 AmeriCorps grants that supports organizations across the country, and they annually place 395 AmeriCorps members across 16 states. The Killeen Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management was awarded 7 AmeriCorps members funded through Equal Heart's program. AmeriCorps is part of a network of 70,000 members that service communities to meet critical human needs across various areas of service. AmeriCorps is a federal agency for national service and volunteerism. And the mission of AmeriCorps is, quote, to improve lives, strengthen communities, and foster civic engagement through service and volunteering, end quote. The Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management is proud this evening to introduce our AmeriCorps members. Ms. Rovina Facey, if you'd raise your hand. Cynthia Smith, Lonnie Alfred, who's not able to be here today, Emma Everhart, Valerie Hill, and Michelle Seitz. These members became part of the AmeriCorps and Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management's preparedness program in late 2023 and early 2024. They quickly began work building capacity to enhance readiness throughout the city. During their short time with our program, they have participated in local events, provided preparedness education packets that they developed to over 1,000 people throughout the city, and they developed a basic disaster preparedness presentation that was given to the City of Killeen's employees. They also have developed preparedness training and various other education tools that can be used for future events and trainings. These members have provided such valuable contributions to our preparedness program in the short time that they've been working with us. As we navigate our next steps building our preparedness program, we must continue our efforts to better prepare the City of Killeen citizens. It is of critical importance that we get our communities prepared. But for tonight, we want to thank Rovina, Cynthia, Lonnie, Emma, Valerie, and Michelle for their service. Their contributions will be seen into the future in the City of Killeen, and we couldn't be any more thankful and grateful. We really do appreciate your efforts that you've given with the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, and most importantly, to the citizens of Killeen. It's been much appreciated. So I'd like you to give them a big round of applause. And with that, I'd like to turn the microphone over to the mayor if she'd like to share a few words with our volunteers.
Thank you, Chief, so much. And thank you, Mr. Joe. It is indeed an honor and pleasure to be here with you. As I stated earlier, your volunteerism is the backbone to our community, to keeping us connected with the resources that are so much needed. So on behalf of the City of Killeen and also the City Council and staff, we will be presenting to you today a plaque and also a mayor's token. It's a coin. It's like the military. You have your own coin. So I will be presenting the coin, and Chief Kaminsky, he will be reading your plaque, and he will present it to you, and then I will be giving the coin. Mr. Joe, do you have any words? No. Okay.
I also do want to recognize our interim Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, Joe Stewart, who has been acting in the role since Peter Perez departed for the city of Greeley, Colorado, earlier this month. He's been doing a great job, and this is the fun part of the job, Joe. But I'd like to read what's on the plaque. The City of Killeen Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management proudly presents participant's name in recognition of your dedicated service to the City of Killeen and its community as an AmeriCorps member, and for your resolve to help improve lives, strengthen communities, and get things done for America on July 9, 2024. And it has the AmeriCorps and OHSEM logos on the plaque. So congratulations, ladies, all the ladies here today, and the one gentleman who is not here, correct? And the one lady that's not here today as well. So thank you. First up will be Cynthia Smith. Next, we have Emma Everhart. And Valerie Hill.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Rovina Facey. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
And Michelle Seitz.
And you said the last name correctly, too. Very impressed.
I try my best, thank you.
You did great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So sorry.
Bring the group back up.
In North Carolina, where was it? DC. DC. Awesome.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you. It's 5 o'clock, and I am calling this city council meeting to order. Let the record show that all council members are present except Councilmember Alvarez. We thank you all for showing up today. We will have an invocation by Lisa Wilson, Kingdom Standard Ministries, and I will be doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
God, we just thank you for everything that you've done today so far, God. We thank you, God, that your spirit will just rest in this place. God, we surrender ourselves unto you now, God, in the mighty name of Jesus. God, we let go, God, of our will, God, our desires, God, and we just ask that your will come through this place, God. God, we ask you that your desires for this community, God, be brought up. God, we thank you, God, that everything that needs to be changed will begin to be changed, God. God, everything that needs to be discussed, God, will be discussed, God, and I thank you for the wisdom, God, and the counsel, God, that you will give to us all today, Father, God, to continue to change your community for your will, God, to continue to change the government systems, God, the education in the schools, God, everything that's going on in this community, God, I thank you, God, that it will all align to your will, God, and God, I command that everything else, God, that is not your will, God, begin to change, God, and we decree and declare that the change will come forth, God. We decree and declare that your spirit will rest in this place, God, resting on each and every person in this place, even as we go home, that you continue to download the wisdom and the counsel that you want for this community, God. So I just thank you, God, and I seal your presence in this place. In Jesus' name that I pray, amen.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson, for that invocation. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Please use your Councilmember Board, your button.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Councilmember Solomon.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. Presentations, council, you have 3 minutes each to speak 3 times. Madam Secretary.
PR 24018, Innovation Black Chamber of Commerce Community Update.
Thank you. Good evening, afternoon, Mr. Russell.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members, Secretary. First of all, thank you for allowing this time to take place for the community update. So here is the content of agenda. We're going to go over the data and the demographics, population, economic impact, community economic makeup, the mission, our success, and our request. So, as we already know, the African American community in Killeen is very significant and vibrant in all parts of the city, and going into this very diverse population. So within the population itself, the African American community approximately is 38.9% of the Killeen's population, and in 2022, the population was at over 53,000. In 2024, according to the U.S. Census. We went up 11.3% at 59,916. The economic impact, the Black-owned businesses comprise of over 30% of all firms in the Killeen area, contributing significantly to the local economy. And as we see when it comes to women-owned businesses in this area, and I also see it as well as in my membership as well. The women-owned businesses take up over half of the small business population here in the city of Killeen. The African American community is deeply rooted activities. We're engaged in various aspects of the city's social and cultural life. We service as well, assist in different organizations and institutions, specifically to the needs and the interests, of course, with the Innovation Black Chamber of Commerce. So the economic buying power of the African American community as of right now is $1.3 billion of what we inject into the community itself. So how do we come up with these numbers? So you take the whole number, which is the number of the population, multiplied by what I took was knowing and understanding that we're definitely going to go and get our haircuts. We're definitely going to go and get our hair done. We're going to go and buy houses, cars, and homes. So I took a basic low number, which I know is a lot higher, basic low number of 1,910. So you take that whole number of the population, multiply that by 1910, then you multiply it by 12. Again, I know it's more than that. So right now, the buying power is over 1.3 billion itself. And here is the economic makeup for Black businesses here in the city of Killeen. Of course, we're using micro-enterprise because by definition, micro-enterprise is a business operating on a small scale, especially one with one or a sole proprietor and fewer than 6 employees. So micro-enterprise make up over 76%. Nonprofits, of course, is at 19.8, and contracting is at 1.1. And the reason why that the contractors up there for me is there isn't enough certified contractors, and what we found in this area is we have a small group of certified. Now you can do great work with your hands. That does not necessarily qualify you as a certified contractor. And the economic impact that the Innovation Black Chamber of Commerce has within the economic makeup of the community itself, we're a little bit under 20 million. Of course, the number is a lot greater. So again, you take the number of membership, so you take 300, and I took the median income, which I know I have businesses that make more than $33,000 a year. So I just went the small scale. So took the number of membership, multiplied by what the median income is stated, and then you multiply it by 12. So I know that the Innovation Black Chamber of Commerce and what we have within our community and this ecosystem, that's how much economic impact that we have, that we pour into the economy of the city itself. So for those that do not know, the mission of IBCC is to promote the economic development of Black-owned business and veteran-owned businesses through equity advocacy, strategic marketing, and technology advancement. So here's our data and numbers when it comes to Juneteenth. As you can see, we do a lot of marketing. And for us, we have to create more of destination to pull more people in. We have strategic partnerships with the Shiloh as well as strategic partnership with the Marriott. So if you're a member of IBCC or if you have family coming in, all they got to do is say, hey, I'm this, and then they get significant discounts when it comes to going to the hotel. So from a marketing perspective, this is just this year's Juneteenth. I'm not even talking about the years before. So the marketing impressions was over 250,000 on marketing impressions. We had 40 vendors, and from the picture, as you see, we had over 200 runners. They were running through downtown Killeen. We had 4 people that actually came from Dallas. We had people that came from Salado, quite a few military soldiers that came, and a lot of veterans, and there was a couple of organizations that came as a group. And this is the image from this year's Juneteenth 5K. So what most people do not know, the Juneteenth 5K to the eye looks like a festival, but it is not really a festival. It is a program for cooperative economics. So sponsorships for vendors, and from sponsorships, vendors, and 5K registration, all that goes into a pot. And then from there, we minus our expenses, and then we convert what's left over into a Black business grant, and it goes right back out into the community. So this is, as you can see on the check, this is 2021. This was the business, and they won $5,000, and this is where we are right now. So we've grown significantly when it comes to our give back. As you can see, the amount of sponsors at the bottom, and now this year, Killeen Auto came on this time. Miss Miranda, which is on the far left, with Navy Federal, she's been with us since the beginning of it. They actually was the first financial institution that exercised their CRA in pouring into an organization because they get that credit when it comes to the Community Reinvestment Act. So she's been with us since the beginning. And this year we gave out $10,000 for the Black Business Grant. Again, it is a program. It's not just a festival. Everybody else see a festival, but it's crowdfunding. And Culture on the Square. Culture on the Square is another program. Again, to the common eye, people see it as a festival. You come down, we're celebrating diversity, yes. But again, the program for Culture on the Square is called CEE, Culture, Economics, and Entertainment. Because economics is not just important, but economics is also how we can grow and develop this vertical integration, but we also develop that vertical integration through entertainment, which what Mr. Webb liked to call infotainment. We provide information during a time where entertainment is being given, so we pour that information back into the community. And from a marketing perspective, we had over 140,000 impressions at that time, over 30 vendors, and over 1,000 in attendance. And the Black Business Award is really twofold because we have Texas Black Business Week as well as we have the Black Business Awards. Texas Black Business Week this year was actually sponsored by Meta. Meta came here and they taught one of the marketing workshops. And for the Black Business Awards, it is a community award, and this year there are 14 categories, and from the categories it dwindles down to the top 5. So we have 70 Black businesses that was nominated with over 10,000 votes for these businesses, and when we have the actual ceremony itself, we have over 250 stakeholders in the event as well. So the main thing that we like to do, again, we don't just create events, we create programs because that's what grows the community from a problematic perspective. What's the problem? Let's solve the problem through entertainment, and then let's create it something that is developed and something that's sustainable. So what do we provide? This is just a couple of things that we provide. We provide the economic catalyst by empowering startup businesses or businesses that are already in existence to grow. One thing that I noticed in this city, businesses start a whole lot faster, but do they sustain in the moment? A lot of times the sustainment doesn't take place. So we focus on the sustainment efforts to build successful businesses, which then contribute into job creation. And going into the community advocate part, with the community advocate, like we were successful when the Juneteenth was celebrated federally, and we had noticed that Bell County as a county itself did not recognize Juneteenth as a federal holiday. And once we found that out, myself, the Killeen branch NAACP, the Temple branch NAACP, we went to the county and we were successful in getting these city employees in the county to have that day off. And the only thing that I did is I just used the numbers, because we can talk about the feel good and the emotional side of why they're not celebrating, having Juneteenth celebrated, but I just went straight from the economic side, because if you're not getting this day off and now the daycare center is closed and the banks are closed, now this person has to go and get daycare. So now that's more money that parent now has to pay out of pocket. And then when you do actually allow the Juneteenth holiday to be recognized for the employees. So now you have people that may be possibly coming into the city by way of celebration of cookouts and stuff like that. So I took those numbers, hotel stay, gas, and people coming in and celebrating. Mathematically, it made more sense because the county said it will cost them $57,000 if they gave people that day off. And I said, mathematically, you're really missing out on $1.3 million over your $57,000 that you're trying to hold on to, and that's where the community advocacy come into play. Workforce development, of course, we really focus hard on workforce development of the future with the initiatives that we have. We have the Economic Resource Summit, which Mr. Cagle has been on the panel itself. We have brought in the president of the NAACP, as well as the president of the I forgot the organization, the Hispanic organization down in Dallas. They had came up, and we also do a AI boot camp training programs, as you know, because what that does, it helps close the gap when you're talking about the digital divide and things of that nature. Because you know, listen to me now, and believe me later on, there's going to be an AI divide. Eventually, it's going to happen. So we work on closing those gaps, because then it becomes beneficial not just for job seekers, but it also becomes beneficial for the businesses as well. Social impact, we definitely foster social cohesion and cultural pride, of course, through the Culture on the Square event itself. And when it comes to the marketing and development, we implement those strategies to bring more people that live outside of the area into the area. So now you're going into the hot tags. So creating these destination events pull the individuals in, and with that, it also increased the visibility of the businesses in Killeen, which foster growth and which contributes to the city's economic, social, cultural, and business development as well. The business training workshops and town halls, many individuals in this room probably have been to a couple of our town halls. Some of you on the dais may have been to a couple of our town halls, because when ARPA had happened, we took the offensive side to ensure that businesses knew that the ARPA was out there, but now how do you go about getting it? So we pulled businesses in and taught them how to prepare themselves for it. And out of the 7, 4 of them came through IBCC as well. So we also partnered with the Small Business Administration. If you do not know, which was pushed out on a press release, once the tornado and the hailstorm had happened, I reached out to the corporate office in Dallas for the Small Business Administration, and right now we have a small business recovery center with the SBA. SBA is right now housed in our building. Right now, they helped over 15 small businesses, and they just extended their time. They're going to be in our offices helping all businesses in the community, now extended to the first weekend, because they're here from Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. With that. And tomorrow, the actual regional director from the SBA, he will be here in our office, just so he can have a site visit and see what we have here in the city of Killeen economically, and how can they help. So SBA will be on site in the city tomorrow. So these are our 3 requests, and I know and understand that this is just a presentation. You know, I thought it was going to be a workshop to where the conversation then changes different. And one of the things that makes this organization very significant is we took out of our budget to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, knowing that there was a food desert, go to Tulsa, actually found 2 grocery stores, but we actually brought in 3 in the city itself. And bringing Oasis here to the area was a very successful task. And Mr. Johnson actually have been here in the city. Most people don't know, he's actually been here in the city. We had a meeting here at City Hall, and where we are right now with it, the city planner as well as the finance director, that RFP was pushed out, and from the RFP, They've already had the first site visit for the contractors and what have you. And once that RFP is finished, so then whoever is rewarded that particular task, now they go and they build the actual grocery store itself. So what takes place is if this construction company gets awarded, they're going to build it. They're going to build out the anchor, which the anchor is the grocery store. So that's going to be the first phase. So that's where it is right now as far as the grocery store goes. So most people are saying, oh, what's going on with the grocery store? It's working. You don't have to see it yourself to know that the plant is going to grow. The seed has been planted. So once it becomes visible, then you'll see the grocery store. So it is being worked on right now. So the request for the Innovation Black Chamber of Commerce to be added as an ex officio member of the Killeen Economic Development Corporation, I think what it would do would provide an increase of representation and inclusion, because it would ensure that the interests and perspective of Black-owned businesses as well as the Black community represented for the economic development discussion and decision-making process, which will enhance the expertise and resources that we bring, and it can leverage to develop targeted programming initiatives that address the specific needs of the community, which can then grow a stronger community partnership between IBCC and the Killeen Economic Development Corporation, which can foster that relationship between the city, the business community, as well as the minority communities as a whole. And what we have and what we see and what we notice when we actually came and did a presentation for KEDC, there were no other minorities in the room. I know and understand that the city council members, they was at a conference in DC. Mr. Cagle was in the room at the time, and we came and we did a presentation to KEDC, and we put our ask at the end. They were saying, well, we think you need to take this to the city because you're in the wrong room. And if you want to help us out, maybe you can help us bring a grocery store. And for me, when you don't know the work that's been done, it takes a lot of work. This is a volunteer organization. We don't get paid. I don't get paid to do what I do. I get paid from what I did 22 years in uniform. So I do this out of heart. And I say it all the time, this is heart work. It's not hard work, it's heart work, because you have to have the heart to do what you do, to do something that gets everybody else paid, except the organization that's have solid boots on the ground. So having us as an ex officio, I think it adds that representation piece. I know and understand that you have to have, according to the bylaws and stuff like that, it may be easier for you to add us as an ex officio than try to figure out how can you change the bylaws and amend whatever you want to do. Also request that IBCC be added under Division 3 of the components of the economic development policy, because trust and believe, I comb completely through that policy. There isn't not one paragraph that I can't speak to you about. And under the policy, it has us as a other partner, but we're not added under Section 3-10 as workforce development. So if you haven't looked at economic development policy, I would say look at it. Look at the inequities in that policy. You have other organizations that's been around for over 80 years. So when it comes to the generational gap as well as the economic gap, it's still happening again. IBCC is listed as an other partner under Section 3-60 in the Economic Development Partners' Roles and Expectations, but there's only one partnering chamber that actually directly receives monetary benefits from their partnership. So this is my request. In requesting that the Innovation Black Chamber of Commerce to be added as a City of Killeen agency partner as a budget item, however the conversation is going to be, for professional service, because that's what we offer. We offer it 100%. So how do we come up with this number? And again, Mr. Cagle seen it himself. In the meeting, we had our budget, we had our items, we had our line numbers, we had all of that. The total ask was $221,000. We operate on a shoestring budget, but we're effective. We operate off of $33,000 a year. I get more than that off of retirement. We operate off of $33,000 a year. So what did? I subtracted from what we originally asked KDC, who told us it was too late, who we were supposed to be in the office in that meeting, but then you pushed us and said, we'll do it in October, knowing budget is already over. So you push us to October. And we've been asking to come up here and have this conversation in May. During those cycles, now we're pushed all the way until July. So our ask is for $186,502. If you have any questions to me, I would love to answer any and all of them.
Councilmember Cigar. First of all, Mr. Russell, thank you for your presentation. It was very detailed. And also working with the city to bring in a grocery store. Thank you. Councilmember Cigar.
Thank you, Mayor. And I too, it's a great presentation, and I know you guys do a lot of work, and I always think that you're one of the hardest working individuals in town because I see you everywhere doing a lot of things, and we're always out there. You're encouraging businesses. You're doing the things that help people, here in Killeen, and I always appreciate that. And I think that's a fair ask. I've kind of mentioned that before. I think that you should be at the table for KEDC, ex officio member. I mean, I would even take it one step further and say you should be a voting member, not just an ex officiato. But, you want to be part of that because the stats that you bring to me are amazing. And I just want to ask this question because I think that we go beyond here just in this community. Have you ever looked at the stats of other cities and see if they compare as far as, the black population? We have a high population. We should be like the leaders, not just here locally, but probably in the whole state. Is that something that
We are leaders because when you look at the home ownership, which I'm sure we're close to zero.
Yeah.
When it comes to that. We do have a representative in the city of Temple that pretty much does the same thing I do. And I communicate with the Black Chamber in Waco as well as I communicate with the one in Austin. And we're also members of the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce, as well as we're a member of TAC, which is the Texas African American Association Chambers of Commerce, which is the tip of the spear. So we look at those numbers. I'm a data person. I will comb whatever I need to find and figure out what's the source of it. And then how do you make change through numbers, not through emotions. Let's look at the numbers and see what the numbers say.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think that, that should be said throughout the state, maybe even the nation. I mean, it's just amazing because a lot of times people come to Killeen and they don't realize the impact that you guys have, that the chamber has, that our black population has here in our community. And that is, I know that USA had a report one time, it mentioned about real estate, and we had the lowest percentage of minority African Americans anywhere in the country as far as home ownership. And so that is an amazing statistic that, everybody should know about. And a lot of that contributes to what you do in helping each other, because that's amazing. It's you guys come together, everybody comes together. And when I mean you guys, I don't just mean the African American. I mean, you help everybody. I mean, you help small businesses, people in the downtown. So you're doing something good. The only thing, and I'm okay with the money. I mean, we just got to figure out where that's going to come from. But if you do get the money, and I don't know if you have this, but what would you do? What would you spend it on? Or do you have an idea roughly on what that would be used for?
It's not spending. For me, I will invest into an employer because I need a receptionist. I want to hire people. I want to put the people in position because I'm not going to be here forever. I'm 48, not that I'm old, but I'm 48. There's going to be a time where I need to pass this on to somebody else. So, and we have a youth program that we're about to launch to where we have a bank that's partnering with us. If the parent at the graduation of the program, if the parent puts in $25 in a savings account, the bank is going to put in $100. So those things also change the landscape. So employment, that's the main thing for me. employment. I don't need to get paid for it. Now, if we make $1 million a year, which is coming, then yeah, cut that check for me. But right now, I need to hire. I want to employ people I don't want to close my door to shut the office because I have to go to a meeting in Dallas or a meeting in Waco because the other organizations, they don't have to. We have to fight, we have to scrap, we need to do what we need to do, but we still get it done.
Got it. No, like I say, I'm okay. The challenge is just going to be, it's got to come from somewhere. And so that's a discussion that we're going to have and see if it's, we can find something like that to do that. But I'm all for it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Russell. Again, I'm 51, so 48 years old. No offense to any of the ladies that are 48. Mr. Cagle, is the money request in this, off the top of your head, what is the possibility of that happening?
Well, I think the possibility would be whatever you tell us to do, but it's got to come
From somewhere.
We presented a budget, so it's got to be cut out of something else.
Got it. And I'm prepared to move to approve 1 and 2, but then direct staff to see if the funding can come back with a recommendation, if that would be doable. And so I'll go ahead and do that so it's on the record. Council, I move that we approve the request for the first and second requests, and that we direct staff to come back with a recommendation on whether we can provide the amount, and if not, if so, what amount, and if not, that's saying the recommendation.
Councilmember Adams, because this is a motion of direction that you're given, would you please state 1 and 2 for the record?
For the
The official record, it has to be official.
So I move that we approve the request to add the IBCC as an ex-official member of the Killeen Economic Development Corporation, which could provide several benefits, and request to add IBCC under Division 3, Components of Economic Development Policy as a resource in Section 3-10, Workforce Development. And the third part of the motion is that the staff come back with a recommendation on funding.
And motion of direction for the staff to do it?
Yes,
Because
yes,
you asked
yes,
them to go do the research and then come back?
Yep.
Okay. Is that a second from, sorry, thank you, you can click off, because I go to the next one. Councilwoman Cobb,
I second that motion.
okay, of direction,
Yeah, and the direction.
thank you. Is there any discussion before, so we can move on? Councilmember Boyd, I'm sorry, stand by. The city attorney, well, go ahead on, Councilmember Boyd.
You sure?
Go ahead on.
Okay. I just had a question, just for housekeeping. Do we have any perceived conflicts tying this into KEDC?
Right, that was my
policy of
question
KEDC.
for her, but I was gonna let you. And before you answer, is that your only question,
That's my
Councilman Boyd? Okay. Do you have a question, Councilwoman Cobb?
I'm going to wait for the answer.
Any more questions for the city attorney? Okay, ma'am, the floor is yours.
I need to look at the KEDC
Yeah.
bylaws, which I don't have in front of me right now as far as how membership gets changed, but I believe that the membership structure is set up in that document. I don't know that council can just do that without KEDC changing their bylaws. As far as request number 1,
Yes, ma'am.
to add them as a member.
Yes, ma'am. There was a discussion before when Mr. Russell had discussed that with me, and I had an understanding that what you're saying. But with that being said, I do think the motion of direction can go forth, and then council, you and Mr. Kagan, I'm gonna let you speak too, Mr. Kagan, I know you want to speak. You can do the research and come back, and if it cannot be done, then it cannot be done. But the motion of direction, this is just my opinion as mayor, it can go forth. But with that being said, I come back to you. Mr. Kagan, are you finished, Madam City Attorney?
Yes, just with the understanding that the motion of direction is to come back with information on these three things rather than just
Yes,
approving
ma'am.
them outright.
Yes, ma'am.
tonight.
That's why, because of my prior knowledge to this, trying to do this a year ago, and we were said it couldn't happen. That's why I didn't let them do a motion. I let them do a motion of direction so everybody would know the truth, if it can be done or not. So if they can, if the council have the authority to put them on the board, yes. If they don't, they don't. So that's all they want, is you to go back, do the research, and come back. Correct, Councilmember Adams? Okay. Mr. Cagle?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just not for sure what I'm supposed to be researching. Am I supposed to go research where to cut $187,000 or?
Not that's, I didn't specify that amount. Even if we can't do that, I do agree that some funding should start and come back with a recommendation. If it's zero, then we can have that discussion too.
Right. I just don't know. I don't know how to recommend a lesser amount. I don't know what we're buying. So I don't know. I don't know if 187 is the right, or if it's 500,000 or 10,000.
I think he said for staff, to hire a staff member.
Right, but the question then is, what are we buying?
Oh, how does this benefit the city? That's the question.
Because it's got to be a contract for services.
Oh, it has to be
Professional
service.
services, the same thing as which you'll see in your resolution, the same thing you're doing, except it's not a one-off. We're here.
Okay, so we do have a motion of direction on the floor. Mr. Cagle needs some clarification, and if I'm understanding you, Councilmember Adams, you want him to go to see if there is any way within the budget that there is some available funds to give to IBCC. You didn't put an amount, but his question goes back to what he said. It's a service. Is the city buying a service from IBCC? And that service is from, and I could be wrong, from what I heard, is that they're going to go out and look for jobs and things of that nature. So that question is hard to answer with the money. That's what he's trying to see.
I think honestly, look at, not to cut you off, look at what you've already I've already done with the Greater Killeen. Go back to that same contract that was used back then and look at those services. But we offer significant services to the aspect of the community, because when we all grow, we all grow. So I would say view what was already previously established with the Greater Killeen. Look at those line items, and I can bring you other line items, and I can show Mr. Cagle the same, and everybody the same thing as we showed them before in the KDC meeting. So no change.
Thank you for your comment. With that being said, I'll go back to Councilmember Boyd and then Councilmember Cobb, but let it be known that the money is still not resolved. Okay.
Thank you, Madam. Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I do believe we need that clarification on the items that we've just spoken for, and especially finding the funding for it. This does have my support. I've watched consistency over the years. I've watched the hard work over the years. I've seen the commitment to bring economic prosperity to the entire community. So I do appreciate that effort. My trust and hope is that we will find a resolution for this sooner than later. I understand there's been some hiccups based on assumptions in the past of where support might lie. But I have seen, and I know the community as a whole has seen the marketing and seen the commitment of the IBCC to the support of Killeen. And those are my comments. Thank you.
I am going to, I support IBCC also, but what I'm really supporting is what I've seen. I've seen the joys and discomforts of the persons within the city of Killeen, the joys, the things that happen, and it's a very positive, effective change, and that's very important. When we start talking about money and putting money and looking at the monies that we have, it becomes very streamlined. And that's when we become very acute in where we're going, because we don't know who's coming next. And if we give one, we have to give all. So what I'm asking, that while Mr. Cagle is looking at those, looking for the monies, and we're evaluating, that we highlight some things. I love the idea of the youth program. That's a highlight right there. When you're putting in and you're getting back, that's specific. Some of the things that you said and on this list are very important. And I sometimes think that we forget to put a price tag. We got to put a price tag to everything, what it's worth. That secretary is worth a lot, because if she can keep your doors open, and if she can keep the youth program, and she can keep the calls coming and those things, those are important. I'm just simply asking for the price tag to go with it. That's all. Love the program, love the idea, love the partnership. But when it comes to money, we need that price tag with it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Council. Before we vote on this motion of direction, I thank you all for your input, but there is still no clarity. The motion of direction A and B is precise. The question that was presented by Mr. Cagle is the service. The question is the amount of money that, from what Councilmember Adams, and it's on you, because you made it. You don't have clarity. If it's zero, you went to zero, then you said, no, we can go there, but clarify, we know it's revenue, but it's just not clear on what you want him to do. We got the city attorney, but it's, yes, ma'am, the city manager.
I still, the 187 was the target.
Okay.
And what I did was add in, if his recommendation comes back to we can't do that yet or whatever, but I shouldn't have added that. So the target is the $187,000 request.
So you're requesting to see if we have in the city funds from, are you saying pull from other areas, or is it free? That's the clarity he asked for.
As he goes through the process, and I know going through the budget over the last week it's kind of airtight, but I think the staff knows if there's a possibility, and that's why I did the direction for them to come back with the recommendation.
Okay, that's what I needed. So basically, if it's there, basically find it, cut where you need to cut. We want it. And do all councils agree on that? Is that what y'all voted on? Okay, you saying no. Okay, well, just go work it out. Is that enough for you to work it out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're just gonna start from there, sir. And I know Councilmember Scott, I'm gonna call on you, but yeah, you want to talk anyway. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead on, sir.
No, I was just going to follow that comment, and I just want to say we're putting the burden on staff. I know our city manager has already presented the budget, and we're asking him to go back and look at it. And I know there was a lot of things that were turned down that were asked because there's no more money. So I think the burden falls on us as city council members to look at the budget and say, okay, based on what was presented to us, what do we as council members want to cut? Because if it goes back to the city manager, he's already presented, and we're asking him to go back and take some money from another department or anything like that, where he had departments that asked for money that did not get it because there was not enough. So what we're trying to do is take that burden away from us as council members and say, go back to city manager, and then maybe come back and say, there's nothing we can do because the city manager has already presented the budget. So I think it falls on us. If there is something there that needs to be cut, then, as the budget was presented to us as council members, it's for us to look at it and say, what is something that we can cut. I know I can't find it. The only thing, the only thing that's this going to point to, and I can tell you right now, and I'm just going to put it out there, is our current KEDC. They get money. So that's the only place that I see this would come from. And so we would have to lower the amount that we're given KEDC already, take it off there and spread it. So that's the only place as a council member that I can see out of all this budget that this money would come from.
Thank you. All council members have spoken 3 times. All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Please raise your hand, Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez. Okay, thank you. The motion carries 5-0 with Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez not voting on the item. Thank you. And council, I'm sorry if I didn't see it prior to it. Councilwoman, Mayor Pro Tem, I can see it now. She stepped out because she is a member of IBCC and she did not want to vote on the item. And if a council member is a member and forgot that, you have to please tell the city attorney. With that being said, we will now move on to our citizens' comments on agenda items only. You have 4 minutes to speak. Council, if you would like to have an explanation, engage, there's no engaging in dialogue, but if you would like to give an explanation or make a statement, you have 1 minute to do so. With that being said, the first speaker will be Mr. Webb. Mr. Webb, good evening. You have 4 minutes.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members, and staff. First of all, I want to say thank you guys for everything that you do. I know it's not easy. I come and I see the heartache that you go through and the ugliness sometimes, and I don't think it's fair sometimes, but I appreciate your commitment to the city. As a member of the IBCC, again, as Mr. Russell said, we're all volunteer organization consisting of many veterans, families, and volunteers and citizens of this community. Many of us, just like yourselves, are from somewhere else in the country. You know, so we're a bunch of people gathered together to really try to make a difference in the place that we live. I want to touch on something real quick. You asked, what are you paying for? What are you buying? I'm going to mention some things that you've already gotten for free. You've gotten tremendous amount of support from the Innovation Black Chamber of Commerce, and we really focus on relationships. And relationships, we have created support relationships through our summit, to where we have had our summits to where we have really highlighted our police departments, our fire departments, our school districts, and any of the city other organizations that are here to help promote jobs, to promote education, as well as feeding citizens in the community, clothing citizens in the community. We've done quite a bit of that for free. You asked, we've also partnered up not just with the city of Killeen, but we've partnered with our neighbors. We've invited Coppers Cove, Belton, we've invited Temple, we've invited Harker Heights, and Nolanville. They have also participated in all the things that the IBCC has done. The growth of the IBC members in numbers has been tremendous, but the growth of the members themselves through personal and professional development, the training that the IBCC continues to do has been remarkable. In understanding the resources that are available, not just from the IBCC, but the city itself, we continue to try to promote that. We try to promote and highlight, like I said, the resources of the city, from jobs, business startups, childcare, health as well. Mr. Russell mentioned AI. We've had several boot camps, and there's probably not too many people in here over the age of 20 that understands what AI is. So we know that going forward to really get our community and our people ready with AI, we've had several boot camps, and that's where the word innovation comes in with the Innovation Black Chamber of Commerce. So we will continue to strive forward to do what's on our program for the rest of the year. So whether you all approve this or not, we're going to keep striving forward, but we do hope that the relationship that we have with the city is going to be something that's going to help us as well, because we're all volunteers, we're all a bunch of broke veterans, you know, doing this, and that's why we're excited about our youth program. So we're doing quite a bit in the community. We're going to keep striving forward. We appreciate everything that you do and your consideration for helping IBCC to be successful for years to come. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. Good evening. You have 4 minutes. Yes, ma'am, it's you.
Sorry. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, Mayor.
And council members and staff. I'm speaking tonight on RS 24-125, the resolution to establish a charter review committee. And it's not because I'm either for or against it. I'm neither. I actually just have questions, and I'm guessing that I'm not the only citizen that does. So I'm thought if I ask them, maybe some more information could come out that would help us. So far, I think a lot of us are just kind of confused by what we've read in the papers and heard. So anything that tonight could be done to help clarify and give some consistent information to help us support you would be awesome. I've heard that it was reviewed in 2022, and I've heard some people describe that as a thorough, but then I've heard other council members say it wasn't. It was item specific. And I'm just not sure which is accurate, but it should be something we could find out and clarify and have consensus on. I also know that from even tonight, some of the comments earlier spoke to charters. I know as an executive director of an agency, been on a lot of boards, charters, bylaws have to be reviewed. Ours have to be reviewed annually. I think these are supposed to be done every couple of years minimum, but they, at the most, if I understand. So I can see there being concern that maybe it's premature to do this at 2 years, but I also could see it might be really needed because of the pace of growth of this city. I know just managing an agency, if you double in size and staff reach or budget, you're going to be reviewing your charter to make sure you have the right things in place to manage that growth. So I could really see there being a very good reason to say, we won't really be getting to it till 2025, real deep probably, that's 3 years. We've doubled in size in under 20 years. Another 5 years, we're going to be 200,000 population potentially, or getting real close. We might need some different things in place to manage a city of that size. So, and I was on the Killeen Comprehensive Planning Committee, and that was in 2022. And I know we had quite a few things come up into 2023, I believe, that referenced going back and reviewing the charter, that there were opportunities still for improvement. I also am a big believer in best utilization of resources, and premature committees are a waste of time and money. So I just ask for clarification on what happened in 2022. Was it comprehensive or not? And a little more information from the requesters on why now, some specifics that maybe would help us understand why that 2-year minimum is being asked to be met in that time frame and not wait 4 or 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seal. Good evening, sir. You have 2 minutes.
Afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. I'm speaking tonight in opposition of formulating the Charter Committee. I believe Mr. Segarra and Mr. Solomon have brought up some valid points in the last meeting about the recurrence and basically locking your window for 2 years for some things that may seem administrative or not vital at this moment. You have some changes that are potentially coming from the state, which would then force you to wait 4 years to implement those changes instead of having that option at a sooner date. So I would also say that, you know, this is the last term for the mayor. So making charter changes that would allow a more stronger mayor type of government, you could open yourselves up because you don't know who's going to be the incoming mayor. And so you're going to give that person way more power than what the previous mayors have had. You don't know how that's going to impact the structure of your council, how that would impact the structure of the city. So I think, you know, it's very premature at this time. As far as monetary increases, most of you are on, I believe all of you were on this committee, or this council, when that was brought up last time. So, you know, you had a window, a chance to set those salaries per month and per year. And, you know, I think waiting for a more valid reason to make those charter changes is the best option for the city and the council. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Brown?
Coming with, excuse me, I'm coming with Good news and surprising news. Let's start with the surprising news. I agree with Councilman Cigar 100% on something. And the good news is I have answers to a lot of the questions that were already brought up. What would IBCC be bringing for the money? Economic development and industrial development, which are both listed as separate line items in our budget. And I'm glad that this is here because it gives me an opportunity to speak a little bit about our budget. There's nothing this week, there's nothing next week, there's nothing apparently until the public hearing that needs to probably be fixed. Anyway, I know exactly where we can find $190,000. First of all, let's check and see how much money is left in the PFC NRP fund. My understanding is that it's not entirely empty. I don't think that last $17,000 we spent this year was the end of the money we had there. If it is, we should be getting money from NRP this year in that agreement. I also just want to point out real quick that KEDC has brought in fewer than 100 jobs in 2 years, as opposed to what IBCC has done. An Economic Development Corporation, according to the comptroller, is a nonprofit created to finance new and expand future enterprises. Essentially, what our Greater Killeen Chamber is doing and what IBCC is doing, it doesn't have to be a type A or type B. It doesn't have to get sales tax because our current one is not. I appreciate that this organization is out there doing what the city had promised, what this council had told our KEDC to make a priority, which was bring in a grocery store. The main requirement, though, for an EDC is that the business bring in new money into the community with primary jobs, which would be jobs that the majority of them, the products or services, or to markets outside of the local region, infusing new dollars into the local community. Allowable costs include acquisition of land, machinery, and equipment, construction costs, planning, and professional services. If you're curious about any of it, go check out the comptroller's website. What's difficult is finding information about our EDC because they don't report to the comptroller like every type A and type B do. You can go ahead and check that for yourself. And then $500,000 that we give KEDC off the top goes to the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce for what they call economic development services, which is supposed to be the purpose of the EDC. So let's just take that, split it in half, because it seems like IBCC is doing more than half the work of bringing in new businesses. That's $250 right there. We have $885,000 between our general fund and our water and sewer fund that's going to KEDC, and another $47,738 coming out of somewhere going into something called industrial development. As far as putting someone on or changing the structure, according to even their own website, per the KEDC bylaws, the City Council, Article 3, Director, Section 303, Appointment, they are approved by the council, so you can make those changes. And then I will just tell you that the amount of money that is going from KEDC into stuff that is not economic development for the city, they're spending well over $150,000 a year to the university. That's not jobs for us. A little over $1 million so far in FY22 for matching scholarship funds generated in the community to be used for the construction of the National Mounted Warfare Museum. If we want to make this equitable, we make sure that the money gets shared. I also do want to put in that last year, or 2 years ago, the charter review was initiated by specific items. It was comprehensive in process. The council did not involve the citizens. 24 items.
Thank you, your time is up.
May I please have
Council?
my extra minute just to finish the charter information?
Okay, we gotta move. Come on, yes or no? Councilwoman Cobb?
Thank you.
Okay, yes, you have 1 minute.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, the council did not involve the citizens in that process. That was entirely council-led. Other than citizen comments, but there was no committee formed. It was voted at that time not to. There were 24 items that were identified that the council decided should have been addressed in a charter review, but we had to whittle that down because there's no way you can put 24 items on a single ballot and make it comprehensible. Also, some intentions were not worded so that they they actually came to be the way we wanted. For example, Prop A, there was a charter revision that was aimed at avoiding something like Prop A where it violated state law. We just didn't word it properly to put it on the ballot. And in case of the legislative changes that anyone's afraid of, they would trump our charter anyway. So with that said, I volunteer for tribute. Thank you.
Thank you, too. Mr. Price. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
Good evening, council. I'm going to try not to get arrested tonight. So with PR 24-018, if we're giving one Chamber of Commerce money, right, it should just be equally divided. Isn't that fair? Just to me sounds like common sense. Don't ignore one group over the other, especially when they're doing a lot of work at providing jobs or bringing in jobs. I mean, it don't matter who they are. They're us. They're Killeen. Even though I'm a minority in this city, right, by demographic-wise, doesn't matter. It's about us. RS 24-117. I know this is a sensitive subject, but I still haven't gotten any definitive answer, right? Will any of these LGBTQ books that specifically target children be purchased? That's all I'm asking. It's yes or no answer, right? For RS 24-120 and 121, out of those 19,000 airplanes that flew in, or 1,900 airplanes that flew into Skylock Airfield, how much revenue was made? And is any of that going to be to help facilitate these repairs? Because to me, that facility should be self-sufficient. Because I don't enjoy taking an airplane out of there or riding on a Learjet. I don't have that kind of money. But apparently there's 1,900 people in Killeen that do have that kind of money to fly in and out of their personal private airfield in Killeen. So I don't understand the justification here, as well as for the golf course there. Why are we spending public dollars for a few private individuals to have entertainment? I don't understand why we're spending a few $100,000 on irrigation systems and so forth for this private organization that it should be private, but it's a public organization, right? But I don't know how we justify spending the money on this, because to me it's extravagant. Just like a private airfield, it's extravagant. It's just saying, hey, look at me. I'm sorry, I thought we got over that during the 80s. And with the charter review, I've already announced, my request to be put on that board if you're going to have one. But I agree with everybody else. I think this is a cricky board, and it really needs to be thought about before we actually engage in it as a city, especially if it limits us to further mitigation to right wrongs in our city charter, if there should be any in there. And I know there's a couple in there, but I haven't gotten that far to them, right, to really in-depth ones. But yeah, and I would rise to make a propose on our next agenda, right? This is a proposal, so it's...
Mr. Price, your time is up. Thank you. Mr. Fornino, good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
not to retread ground that's already been gone over, but I think it would only be fair to split it, make it competitive. Give funding to IBCC, the Greater Chamber, and KEDC, because from what I've seen, all we're doing is throw good money after bad at KEDC. Perfect metaphor, when I was leaving the festival the other night, walking past what used to be the train station, railroad full of freight rolling right past as I was walking back to my Jeep. And railroad made this town possible. Now you got no freight getting loaded on or being taken off. We do everything but economic success. Complain about things that'll relate to the budget, sales tax dipping and everything else. People don't spend what they don't have. So I say make it competitive. That's just good business right there. When it comes to pool chemicals, okay, again, on that, buy them, make sure every facility that's going to be using them has somebody on site to actually administer them properly and know what the hell they're talking about, rather than essentially give the answer when questioned by a concerned parent or official or notable community figure. All it's going to take is one brain-eating amoeba, and you think some lawsuits are expensive, that one's going to be very expensive indeed. Hopefully that never does happen. When it comes to the charter review, what's the rush? Okay. My suggestion to the charter review would be, for every one of your picks, why don't we go to the senior center, get the bingo ball roller, and we have a pick just from the community at large. Then that way it keeps it as fair as possible. Because I dare say there'd be some suspicion as to there'd be a couple of ringers picked by each and every one of you. Keep it fair. Every 8 or 9 that you pick, we get the bingo thing over here. It costs no money. Everybody draw lots, and you have full citizen participation. Let's put the brakes on it. Not saying it doesn't need to be done, but the comment was made, and I'm not going to misquote anybody, but the comment was made from one of the council members. I don't know how to run a city. Well, as the city grows in size and complexity, and we're talking about possible in future extending terms, expanding powers, et cetera, I would suggest middle ground. Let's do like a junior varsity train up. Let's see who really wants to run the city and can learn on the job. Let's make it a part-time job, half a day. Some of the folks here in the morning, some of the afternoon, be accessible to the people. I further say that that's going to be a benefit to the people because the elected officials will be in residence and reachable by the people. So this, we answer emails, but you don't actually answer emails, that nonsense will go away. And I will say this very directly, that will disenfranchise a lot of you who don't want to give up your 9 to 5s. And let's find out who exactly wants to run the city. And it'll be a good train up. It'll be like a junior varsity program, if you will. And also term limits, but that's not something that we can rush through. If it's going to happen, it doesn't need to happen right now. Let's take a half step back for a larger step forward, get more community involvement. I mean, when we wrote the Constitution, that took several years. It didn't happen in 2 weeks or over one summer. Let's take a step back, like I said, and we'll just larger step forward, have it a lot more cogent, a lot less yelling and screaming at each other, and we can set it up right, and we can change the town effectively via the charter, but we'll do it the right way.
Thank you. So one of the questions that was asked that wanted some clarification, and that clarification is, yes, 2 years ago, the council did go over the charter and we reviewed it. Whether we got everything in detail or not is predicated on an individual council member. That is a long process. I can only speak from my perspective as mayor. Being a mayor-strong city, that was one of the questions someone else asked in my notes, mayor-strong government. That is a big responsibility. As you all know, for a city manager, you have 30-plus years. And this, whomever, if they do the review on the charter, when you take on that responsibility, you have to know every aspect of running a city. And on that level, you can only find those at Fort Cavazos that is a garrison commander or a garrison sergeant major or higher. If you haven't led on that level, you're setting yourself up for failure. And I don't even mean running a business. because a garrison commander and a garrison sergeant major is the same equivalent to a civilian city manager. That means they run Fort Cabazos, everything. If you don't have that kind of background, period, in finance, and you're a people person, and you have leadership skills, and you know how to build a team instead of dictating to a team, then you setting the future of the city of Killeen up for failure. I am 100% against that. And population has zero to do with how we manage a charter, the city. The charter and population is zero. I don't have anything to do with that. What governs this city is what we put in place and planning, how we grow our city out. The comprehensive plan is the closest thing when it comes to population. We want to build up, down, expand. We want density. We don't. So that's not correct. But it's just from whoever perspective and how they look at it. The other questions about the books. Last week, our librarian came in here and she addressed that question on what type of books that would be in the library. But she also did a caveat. It is the parent's responsibility to be with that child when that child pick out a book and take that book home. So whatever content is in that book is on the parent, because it's not the librarian or the staff of the city staff to go through the book and decide what a child reads and don't read. And I'm just trying to make sure that I have addressed every question that came before us. With that being said, Madam Secretary, consent agenda.
LMN 24016, consider minutes of regular city council meeting of June 11th, 2024. RS 24117, consider a memorandum resolution increasing the previously authorized spending limit for the purchase of library materials from Ingram Book Company from $90,000 to $132,785 for FY 2024. RS 24118, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing a contract amendment for the purchase of a transfer station crane from Waste Systems Equipment Incorporated in the amount of $5,316. RS 24119, consider a memorandum resolution purchasing aquatic chemicals through a buy-board cooperative contract number 70123 Commercial Swim Aquatics in an amount of $104,536.80. RS 24120, consider a memorandum resolution rejecting bids received for bid number 2438 Stone Tree Golf Club bunker renovations. RS 24121, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement with Harrison Roofing Company Incorporated for the hangar roof rehabilitation project at Skylark Field in the amount of $75,791.43. RS 24122, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration for an airport improvement program grant for the Taxiway E relocation project at Killeen Regional Airport. RS 24123, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration for an airport improvement program grant for the terminal security improvements project at Killeen Regional Airport. RS 24124, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration for an airport improvement program grant for the terminal mechanical improvement project at Killeen Regional Airport.
Thank you so much, Madam Secretary. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Councilmember Solomon.
Yes, Madam Mayor, make a motion that we approve the consent items as listed.
Councilmember Adams.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. Madam Secretary, whenever you're ready, resolutions. Council, you have 3 times to speak, 3 times each. 3 minutes to speak, 3 times each.
RS 24-125, consider a memorandum resolution establishing a charter review committee.
Thank you, Councilmember Solomon. Are you making a motion? I need a motion on this. Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I make
Okay,
these remarks.
Is this a motion?
No, I thought it was just,
It wasn't discussion, this is a motion. You can discuss, I can't stop that, but I'm asking for a motion. You can do discussion first or do the motion later. It's the last item, I don't care.
right. So, change is happening all around us, but many of us who speak of it are grotesquely unprepared to cope with it. We are all changing every second, and when we stop, we die. Embracing change is crucial for our growth and progress. Tonight, we have an opportunity to embrace change in a structured and thoughtful manner by discussing the establishment of a charter review committee. Not change the charter, but discussing of establishing a committee to discuss whether to change the charter. We have adopted a comprehensive plan that takes our city forward into the future. This forward-thinking mindset should also apply to our city charter. The last charter review was not comprehensive from first letter to the last period. It was based on specific council member initiatives and addressed changes that were required by state law. This time, we have the opportunity to adjust based on our own timeline and the needs of our community, taking a broader approach to ensure our charter reflects the diverse needs and values of our community. The proposal before us to establish a charter review committee tasked with conducting a thorough review of our existing charter. The committee will engage with the community, gathering input and recommendations to ensure our charter reflects the current and evolving needs of our city. While specific issues have been mentioned, the committee's role is to consider a broad range of topics that have been brought to our attention by residents. This process should allow a diverse set of perspectives and ensures that any proposed changes are well considered and reflective of the community's needs. This committee can also recommend that we maintain the status quo and even push to discuss the charter later in the timeline. The committee will consist of 9 members if you approve, ensuring a diverse group that can effectively represent various community perspectives. Each of us on the council with the mayor will nominate 1 member, emphasizing a broad representation. The committee's duties will include reviewing the entire charter, proposing amendments that reflect modern governance needs and legal standards, and preparing a detailed report of recommendations. They will also conduct public meetings to solicit feedback from the citizens of Killeen, ensuring transparency and community engagement throughout the process. This process is about ensuring that we are prepared for the future, that our governing document reflects the current and evolving needs of our community. It's not just about making changes for the sake of changes. We don't just fire and forget. We have a comprehensive plan that is a roadmap for the future, and we need to make sure our governance is set up to follow this path. Let's not outgrow what we are and then later be reactionary and play catch up. The primary goal of the committee is to review the charter comprehensively and recommend any necessary adjustments. It is important to note that any significant changes, such as altering the city's government structure, will still require deliberation by the council and ultimately voter approval. With that, I move for approval.
Councilmember Boyd,
I'll second that with a comment.
please.
No problem. Our city is dynamic. Our city is diverse. Our city is growing. I don't like the idea of the city of Killeen getting behind Temple, Belton, or Waco, because we are the city of Killeen. We've got a lot of your major economic drivers here, and we should be thriving off of what we have and working together to promote this town and build it into what it can be. We could maintain the status quo. This city in the past has maintained the status quo and had to play catch up. We don't necessarily have to sustain that narrative or that routine, though some individuals would prefer that. The purpose of this would, like was mentioned, have the citizens consider a broad range of topics. When we did the first charter review, I made a lot of recommendations on that first charter review, and that's because I felt like it needed to have a comprehensive approach. That's one of the same reasons for this here, to take a comprehensive approach that actually includes more of the citizens through feedback, which would happen through the Charter Review Committee. At the end of the day, this would go to the voters to make a final decision on. But as leaders, it's our responsibility to propose things that might be beneficial to the city, and have you all support that based on what you believe about it. Super excited about what the city of Killeen is going, but I don't like the idea of us going backwards and slowing down. I would say this, I know I was a council member who suggested the forms of government, in speaking, and I was talking about various topics, and I see that one phrase is really, rub people the wrong way, and that's based on how people feel about it, and I respect that, right? Because that would be the voters to make a decision on a form of government. I'm not advocating, by the way, for a strong mayor form of government. It's important to me that the voters have an opportunity to understand the dynamics of the different ways we could approach running this city, in the future. So I know we're just 160,000 people, but if we're serious about looking into the future and where our city can go and is headed, these type of discussions need to happen, or should happen rather, more frequently, and should be fine-tuned over time. That's just my opinion as a leader, because I'm a visionary. I see the bigger picture. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. And Madam, this is more for clarity's sake. Okay, so I definitely agree with some of the sentiment regarding the importance of a charter review. I do have a concern, though, with regards to the committee versus my recommendation of opening up to feedback from the this constituency as a whole, right? So can you explain to me, because there seems to be also concern about it being fair and balanced and having equal representation and input from all citizens who seek to get involved versus a select 9?
If I may, we already have a very dynamic system where individuals can submit their application to serve on committees. Staff does an automatic job to give us those people that apply with their background. And it's almost to the point where it's a resume, where you have to submit your background. And then each of us at that point can look at, I think district reps nominate from the best person from their district. And those of us, the mayor and the at-large reps, look across the city. And then we come together and agree on the 9 people.
And then maybe this is for the attorney or city manager, just a question regarding the timing of, the question had come up regarding the state mandates and changes with the legislation. If the charter review is done, let's just say they do it now, what impact does that have on those changes? I understand they're automatic, right? So it happens automatically. Is there anything that needs to be done, though, at that point as it relates to the charter under those circumstances, then, if that's the case?
Well, I'll let the city attorney check me, but if the state makes changes that makes part of our charter in conflict with state law would supersede.
Correct. And there's nothing for us to do at that point when that happens as it relates to our charter?
Typically what cities do at some point after part of their charter is in conflict with state law. Sometimes it's the next year, sometimes it's 10 years, sometimes it's a long time. It's part of a cleanup.
Understood. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Sagara.
Thank you, Mayor. And as you said earlier, I mean, each council has its own opinion of whether it was a comprehensive review or not. I remember we went through a lot of several months, and if that was not a comprehensive review, we're going to be here a year looking at this one, because that one took a long time. And it was started initially, and I mentioned this before, it was started initially because our city attorney said that there are things that had to be changed down there that had to be updated. And this time, there is nothing. And so everything else that was added or changed at that time was because we had the guidance of knowing that we had to make these changes that were required. This time we don't have that. And so what we're doing is pretty much asking our citizens and giving them a blank slate to say, here's the charter, come up with changes. And as the young lady there spoke earlier, it's like, I don't really understand the charter. And I think that most people really would not understand what are some of these changes that we're asking them. I think that we as a council would probably have to provide some sort of guidance as to what it is that we're looking for. Otherwise, it's like, if I'm on that committee, it's like, what is it that they want from us? I mean, because I don't really understand what is it that can be changed. And there are certain things that may or may not be changed. We got to conform to law, and we're going to go through all of this. And at the end, I think that, maybe something will change or maybe not. But I think that we have so much on our plate right now that I'd hate to see, citizens make recommendations and then later on, nothing gets changed because it wasn't conforming to proper procedure or laws or things like that. And, so I think that before we do this, I think some sort of guidance as to what it is that we as council are looking for. Are we looking, as Mr. Boyd mentioned, that's not necessarily the thing, but, it's some sort of guidance. Here's what we're looking for. We're looking for more money. We're looking for change in term limits. We're looking for, and if that citizens want to do that, at least they can vote and bring back that. Otherwise, we're just giving you a blank slate and say, you come up with it, and then when it comes to us, then we'll put in our input and say, yeah, we want more money or change and all that. So I don't think it's fair to our citizens, and that's why I'm against it.
Thank you. And Councilmember Segar, I just want to make a statement. I am for the future growth of the city of Killeen. And how I know it, you see it every day. Because when I came on this council in 2017, if you would have been here, if you were here, you knew how downtown Killeen looked. And this is 2024. And I can only say how you like us now. So I am a visionary. But how can we move forward? We ain't even got a grocery store on the north side of town. We haven't even completed negotiating with Bell County and making sure that they even start the work on building the annex. God, we ran the staff through cycles, and we had this big idea. The worst thing, future agenda item. Every other week we got something new we want to do. But I want this council to have a legacy. Let's complete something. Let's go all the way through. If it's building a new city hall, building a 2-story parking garage, making sure that we got 100% of our buildings downtown filled, let's complete something. It's not about the innovation. If you bring this back 6 months and say, Mayor, let's go for the charter review, I'll be the first one with my hand up. But I want us as a council to show the residents and to prove to the staff we didn't waste your time sending you on all these different trails, up and down rabbit holes. Let's complete something. Let's finish what we already tasked them to do for us. That is my whole concern with just constantly adding stuff on. I think you have that right to put anything on the agenda, and I support that because I voted for it. But adding another item for the challenge, not only, we got committees, we don't have enough residents to fill. Okay, let's finish that. Let that be one of our legacies. We got all the committees filled. But it's just like, let's just say it, let's just do it. But let's just focus. Let's narrow down what this council really want to accomplish for the city of Killeen and the residents that we're supposed to serve. So I'm not fighting you on the charter review. I don't have a problem with that. But I just feel like it is not the time. Let's just complete a task. That's all I got to say on that. Councilmember Cobb.
Good evening. Wow, what a difficult decision to decide whether we move forward to work on a charter review that we worked 2 years hard on by looking and looking at every aspect. I am against the charter review. I am against because we worked hard those 2 years. And my other reasoning Where's the goal? Where's the objective? And what are we looking for? When that's done, when our state sends the information and everything is all together, then I can see us sitting down and forming a committee to look at it. But as of right now, I just don't believe we're ready to look at it. Let's just get some things done first. That was my first charter review, and I tell you, it took a lot. When you're new, and I can just imagine when I heard Mrs. Wright, and I listened to people coming in and they looking at having their personal ideas of what they think, and then making a choice. It doesn't work that way. It does not. We have to have an objective, and we have to be together with the objective and goal, and it does take some time. So, yes, I am against it.
I just call for the vote, Madam Mayor.
We got a motion call for the vote. Can I get a second on that motion call for the vote? Can I get a second call for the vote? I call for the vote. Okay, all in favor for call for the vote? Raise your hands. Is this going? 1, 2, 3. Okay. All in favor? The call for the vote, so we got to vote now. All in favor to approve RS-24-125, yes. All opposed, no. It fails 4-2 with Councilwoman Cobb, Councilmember Segarra, Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez, and Councilmember Segarra voting against it. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Madam Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Can I get a second? All in favor? All in favor? Okay, meeting adjourned.